Fordham Road and Morris Avenue. It's right there on the corner. It's Gyro King. And you want to talk about a nice slice? You get a slice with gyro meat, raw onion, and extra cheese to die for. But people want to run to Little Italy. There's a lot of these neighborhood shops that put out some good pizza. And that guy on Cross Bronx Pizza, right there on the corner, serious. And the size of the slice, like I said, to die for.
We wouldn't tell you to go to a spot that we didn't think was good.
If it's not good, I won't send you.
Come on now.
I wouldn't even have gone there.
Come on now.
Basically, it all starts here. No matter what beer we're making here, we're gonna have at least about 1,000 pounds to 2,000 or 3,000 pounds of grain, all different types. It's like a giant coffee grinder. I think one of the coolest things about beer is that the base ingredients are so simple. It's water, it's grain, it's hops, and it's yeast. There are literally an infinite amount of combinations you can make when you take those core ingredients, going all the way down to just how long you've roasted the grain. So there's so many different ways and combinations. You can start with the beer, and then from there you add the hops, add the yeast. From the mill room, it's gonna get shot up in that big auger. So it's gonna go swoop, right into that tin. Above our head right here is a ton of grain.
And what ends up happening up there is, so here the grain is cracked. So it's gonna allow, when it falls into the mash tun, for the breakdown of those complex sugars into simpler forms of sugar. So everything sitting up there is like a cracked grain, if you will. Yeah. Because if you don't crack the grain, you're not going to be able to break down the sugars inside of, what ends up being the byproduct, the spent grain.
This is what comes out.
This is the spent grain, yeah. So like once you drop all of that cracked grain into the mash tun, you sparge it with very, very hot water, start down that breakdown, and once you move it over to the kettle, this is what's left in there. So the liquid goes out, and this is kind of the sediment left. And then the other tank on the other side of this looks very similar. You're sparging again, very hot water, you're moving the beer. But what's special about the kettle is that's where you introduce hops.
So here is where, over the course of about an hour, we're gonna take what's called the wort and just boil it and boil it and boil it. Add what's below me right now, hops. And like B was saying, the longer you boil hops, the more bitter it's gonna be. The less you boil, the more you're gonna get the aroma and the esters and a lot of the stuff you'll associate with like tropical and juicy and all those things. That comes with adding hops either very, very late in the boil. Because one amazing thing about hops is that you're really thinking about two things. You're thinking about oils and you're thinking about alpha acids. So the longer you boil it, the more the alpha acids come out, and it's what you think, right? It's like when you're cooking garlic. If you cook garlic for a long time, you kind of get that more astringent taste to it. But if you have like just that right amount, it has that amazing burst. So with hops, every hop has its kind of ideal time you want to boil it. The heat you want to boil it at, the point in the process you add it to the beer. So just like we were talking about with the grain, hops have their own incredible, almost infinite character to add on to that too. So again, we got the boil going on. I don't exactly know what we're brewing at the moment, but this is something that whatever we're looking to do to add, if we want to add the aroma, add the oils, it's right at the very end of the boil, or we take it and we add in what's called the whirlpool. So what it does is it takes what was once the boiling water or boiling wort, moves it over, shoots it in slowly and rotates it slowly at about 180 degrees. So just below boiling. And what that does is then from the hops that we add at that point, you extract almost no bitterness, and it's all aroma, it's all flavor. So in the age of like the big IPA, like the super juicy beer, you're gonna be getting it from adding it in the whirlpool or even later in the dry hop process. What I love about this is that you talk about the nerve center of the brewery, right? Like where so many things happen. And it all starts in the mill room we just talked about and on this brew deck. So you'll see our brewers running up and down this thing at exact times every day, because you add hops about a minute or two different from what they're supposed to be, the beer itself can start tasting different too.
So this process is about a 6 to 8 hour process before it gets transferred over to these guys, which are the cylindrical cone shaped bottoms, which are called fermenters. Eating the simple sugars that you have, fermenting. Eating the simple sugars here, releasing alcohol, which is why people buy beer.
So if you guys look around right now, you'll see our team literally hand packing the variety packs that are gonna be going all around New York State. You're gonna have it in the smallest bodegas all the way up to like a Costco, Trader Joe's. So these things are really some of our pride and joy.
They're like sampler packs,
Yeah.
you know, so if you want to get an introduction to the brand, this is a good place to start, and it's widely distributed, which is nice. And as I was telling you, like, so the artwork you see here is part of a mural that Natalie Lucre from the Bronx did in the backyard. But, you know, I think the vision go forward is not just artists, right? It's collaborating with DJs, chefs, mixologists, which we've done in the past, right? Creating playlists and using a beer can to be more than just a vessel to consume beer.
Oh no, it's a form of art. With the recent collaborations we've had, like with the Bronx Native, the Year Gone Hazy, like the homage to 2020.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. It's artwork.
That was in a lot of ways the biggest collab we ever did, right? It was us, it was Bronx Riders, Bronx Native, but it was also 200 people from around the Bronx, New York City, around the world. We had somebody send some in from Japan. Like that was one of those ones that after that year, the brand's point, right? Like we want to make sure that every single thing we create, everything we put out in the world has a story attached to it. Because we all have stories, right? Everybody in the community has a story, and we want to make sure that those stories, to whatever extent we can, are being told. And You're Gone Hazy was so special to all of us. I know especially special to me, because after last year, about what it meant to so many different people, to have that variety of viewpoints on a label that we got to put on one of the products that somebody could enjoy at the end of the year, was just one of those things that it humbles you and it makes you realize that a beer can be so much more than just liquid inside of a can.
Call it Empanology. The kitchen's your lab, and you're the chemist, and the food is your just creation. So like,
I would say more of a science. We got the empanada product down to science. You know, we've been researching it for over 12, 14 years since I started cooking, and got it to a point where we feel like we got the best empanadas in New York City, if not the world.
especially with this being an inspiration from your grandmother's dough recipe.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the person I started making empanadas with, and then that trickled down to just growing up with my mom in a Puerto Rican household, making empanadas every Friday or Monday just because she was rushing home for work.
Yeah.
Got leftover meat, throw it together. I started forking them.
It's
and
the little pockets of love, man.
And then from there, she's like, yo, I know grandma's recipe. Let's try to make the doughs from scratch. And that's when it really elevated and took off. And we were involved with Restaurant Week last year. We did a couple events. This is pre-COVID, so we're talking November, December, January, February, 2019 into 2020. So
And then COVID
events
hit.
were still going, and we had a good run, and that solidified them wanting to partner with us and make them us their first official food partner. So COVID hits March 14th, city gets locked down. We had a catering event that day, actually. And we got the word that we had to close up. We called it a 2-week, closure because of the virus. That led into a 5.5, almost 6-month hiatus for Empanology. The brewery kept running, but with us not having any delivery platforms set up or a lot of those third-party angles already flowing, it was unsustainable to stay open in the midst of the pandemic. And then there was the safety aspect, the fright, the unknown. So we closed our doors March 14th, and we didn't open up until August 8th of this year.
Officially?
Officially. So we were closed. No empanadas being sold, no production. And then that brings us to August 8th when we opened our doors for the first time. And
I remember submitting an application trying to apply here because I had just graduated culinary school.
Wow.
But I know you needed some experience, so but I have some experience in the kitchen, fine dining over in Monroe. But I mean, I'm happy to see you come as far as you come.
Thank you.
Because like I said, I've been following you since the beginning.
That's fire.
And it's just like, wow, I'm amazed. So guys, I mean, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me and Jason.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
You're ready, man. Brought out One of our new dessert empanadas, the banana foster over there. 2 of our best-selling empanadas from day one, since you've been following us from day one. Chicken truffle mac and cheese with the yellow sticks, and our OG chopped cheese. Hands down our bestseller.
A lot of people don't know how to make mac and cheese properly, so that is really.
Thank you. And shout out to Urbani Truffles, where we get our truffles from.
Get out of here, Bonnie. Safe to say you guys are the big three?
That's a lot of victories.
Well, I tell you, salsa, hip hop,
There you go. There you go.
Let's throw snowballs today.
art, and then you have Yankee Stadium, Botanical Gardens,
Big three.
Bronx Zoo, and then you have Jason, Kev, and BE.
I mean, big three. You got empanadas, you got beer, and you got one of the best, if not the best venue in New York City.
If you feel free, you can ask any questions you want to.
I just want to know how the food tastes.
You want to know how the food tastes?
I want to know how the food tastes. I want to know that everything is cool in the gang up in here.